think it was an overwhelmingly good day for hard Brexit, because what we've seen this week are dramatic events of substance. This has not been a week of flim-flam in politics. Theresa May picked a real fight with the European Union, walked away dramatically from a diplomat. Yeah, but she did her own bit, and walked away and created a diplomatic situation, which I think has dramatised in the minds of former UKIP voters the whole situation. We've got a de facto alliance of Tories and UKIP, and that's new, and that can win any election it wants to.
So the Progressive Alliance isn't going to work,
well,
then?
This redoubles for me the need for that half of British politics that believes in progressive politics, globalism, internationalism, anti-racism, anti-Islamophobia, part what we just heard. We need to stop fighting each other. We need to work out, and it's entirely possible, how we can stop that Tory-UKIP alliance taking Britain off the cliff edge into an economic catastrophe.
Into WTO rules, which isn't a cliff edge.
Well, if you want WTO rules, let's see the Tory manifesto calling for it. Because that's the risk for Theresa May.
Nobody's saying that they want to go down that direction, but it's not the disaster that people try to present it as, because it's the way we trade with the rest of the world, as you well know.
Iain, if you're right, and if this is going to be directing towards a pretty big majority in a month's time, this is the chance for her to do an absolutely radical manifesto, isn't it? She could push through pretty much anything she wanted. Will she? Should she?
I don't think she will. Up to now, the thoughts about Theresa May have been that she's been a very cautious politician. But I think over the past few weeks, she's proved to be anything but a cautious politician. First of all, by calling the election. Second of all, by doing the speech on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday, in Downing Street, where she really took the fight to the European Commission. And Paul is right. I think it did have quite an effect. Now, this talk of a Tory-UKIP alliance, which I understand why Paul says that, is actually just the Conservatives trying to win back all the UKIP votes that they've lost over the last 25 years.
I mean, that's right. It's not really an alliance. It's like a sort of Doctor Who alien. They've absorbed the entire corpus of UKIP voters within the Conservative.
Well,
exactly. You know, that's what parties do. Yeah. The Labour Party sometimes sort of sounds like it doesn't want anybody who's ever voted Tory to ever vote for it, because they're sort of toxic.
But Polly, where is the Remain vote then? I mean, why? It's not going to the Lib Dems. Clearly, there hasn't been, presumably, the resurgence that you were expecting. Where are the Remainers in this? Or
well, it's been, you know, no question, a sort of disappointing night for the Lib Dems, and who would have hoped to do better. And especially in those Leave areas, it's proved that it's, you know, it's not possible to just sort of win back areas that the Lib Dems had once before. But in Remain areas where the Lib Dems have got a presence, there have been kind of points of light, really good results for the Lib Dems. But, you know, Paul's basically right, which is something I don't think I've ever said before, that we need to find a way. None of the parties of the left have really anything to challenge Theresa May, her popularity, her kind of her poise. There's something about her that people really like, and something needs to change if she's ever going to stop being the Prime Minister.
I get staunch Labour voters ringing in my radio shows saying, I've voted Labour every election that I could do, but there's something about Theresa May I like. And when I ask them what it is, they can't explain what it is. And I think that's a very interesting phenomenon.
Maybe it was lists of foreign workers. Maybe that was lists of foreign workers who were going to expel from the British workforce. That played quite well among some racist voters. But let me.
So what are you saying? All Tory voters are racist
voters?
Sorry, Amber Rudd, Theresa May. The whole Tory conference was a racist horse and pony show.
You see, this is why Labour can't actually make progress.
Let me say something. We can stop it. But Labour has to change one thing it's doing.
In 4 weeks?
Yes, absolutely. It needs to talk about Brexit. The one thing Labour is doing wrong, the YouGov polling in the last 2 days showed all party voters the number one issue for them is Brexit. And for most of them, the number two issue is immigration.
So you're saying that Corbyn and McDonnell should stop the talk of the NHS, stop the talk of police numbers?
They need to reframe it as what kind of Britain you want after Brexit. I think their instinct is to do that, but the instinct of the kind of Labour machine is, when Theresa made that speech, the instinct of the Labour machine was, don't talk about it, don't respond, because it's about something we haven't really... an issue we don't own, and they need to own that issue.
But that's because Labour is deeply split on whether we should be leaving at all, and exactly what kind of approach that you should have, whether it's a free market approach or a very kind of socialist approach.
Let me briefly answer. I think today proves that any attempt to win back that part of the electorate that is very pro-Brexit is a fool's errand for Labour. Look at Manchester. Andy Burnham won in every ward, almost every ward. And Manchester's full of Tories. There's plenty of Tories, plenty of skilled workers, plenty of middle-class people. Just by appealing to the inner soul of progressive politics, Burnham did really well.
But he's also walked away
Sean
from Jeremy
Simon
Corbyn
said,
tonight.
wasn't it? They
That's
just
not
want
true,
a
actually.
traditional, simple message. That was what he said. You know, he lost in the West Midlands. Patriotism, hard work, law and order. Is that where the Labour vote is?
No, I'm not. I don't.
But
buy that.
you've just called part of the Tory vote racist, and
Well, I'm sorry. Amber Rudd and Theresa May at their conference wanted us to make lists
but
of
this is about
foreign workers.
voters now, isn't it? I
They did
mean,
not
they
want
were
that
your
at
voters
all.
before they went to UKIP, before they went to the Tories.
See, this is what I'm saying. The Labour movement, Labour Party, is a line drawn through working class communities between people who support globalism, internationalism and anti-racism and people who don't. It's always existed, and we will fight that battle in favour of our principles. It's just that we need...
but
fighting the
the
Lib Dems at
problem
the same
is-
time is the wrong thing to do.
the challenge,
and
though-
the Greens and the SNP. We should be on the same
Ian,
side.
the truth is that if you have now got these blue-collar workers, the people that voted Brexit, that were left behind, that saw wages stagnant, she's really got to deliver for them, not just about Brexit, which may not solve all the problems, but about everything else in their life.
Well, of course, everyone wants politicians to deliver, and the reason Jeremy Corbyn isn't delivering at the moment is because he hasn't got a positive vision. We hear all of this doom and gloom about poverty and all the rest of it, and of course there are problems in society, completely get that. However, if you're a politician that can't do what Tony Blair did in 1997 and offer a positive vision, the sunny uplands, to the aspirational middle classes, you are not going to win, because you can't just win appealing to people who have massive problems in their lives.
So is Tim Farron the aspirational Sunny Uplands candidate who's from the Progressive Alliance then? I mean,
Tim is at least got a clear and coherent vision, and he's got a party that's pretty unified behind it, and he's full of
could
kind
you
of optimism
have an
and
alliance
confidence.
with anyone else, do you think?
The challenge for anybody who wants to form a political alliance is not wanting to constantly draw lines and tell other people that they're racist or that they're patriotic or they're not patriotic. And that, I think, is the challenge for anyone who's involved in politics, who is kind of naturally very tribal and wants to sort of point out all the differences. And I don't think, to be honest, I don't think there's anyone outside of the Conservative Party, which is doing a brilliant job at unifying all sorts of people who disagree with them, who's managing to do that, kind of looking beyond themselves and trying to collaborate.
If you look back in history, all successful political parties are effectively coalitions.
Exactly.
They build coalitions of people who believe in 60, 70, 80% of their policy platforms. Even Theresa May won't believe in 100% of the policy platform she puts forward, no doubt. No one ever does in their own party. You look back at Reagan, you look back at Clinton, they appealed to people outside their own parties, as did Thatcher and Blair. Jeremy Corbyn's not doing that at the moment. Theresa May looks to be the most successful politician at doing
There
this.
is no aspiration when you look at Jeremy
Absolutely
Corbyn.
not. I mean, look, you interviewed a Labour spokesperson earlier who said, wait for the manifesto. This is a great frustration for many of us on the Labour side. We have a democratic process whereby we have to get the manifesto passed by a committee. I think that manifesto will be exactly what you want, aspirational for not just poor people, but for middle-class people.
We've heard no policy so far. All of the policies have not
I would
been
agree.
aspirational.
I would agree that there's been a
There was a
series
20-point plan earlier this week.
What will come, I think, will be a 4 or 5 point plan that has to out-drama the drama queen of Downing Street, and I think it will, and that's why I'm still hopeful we can stop a Tory government.
We've run out of time, but thank you all very much. Thanks for coming in.